Mountain climbers are these ones here. Okay, so we're going to do 30 mountain climbers and 20 hop squats. I'm giving you time. Cover yourself, get whatever you need, place it next to you, and we kick off the exercise. Welcome on board, and thank you so much for staying tuned to NTV. Perfect. Now, exercise number 1 for warm-up. We are here, 30 mountain climbers. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 30. Good job. From there, we must make your hop squats. We're doing 20 hop squats for warm up. Are you ready? Good, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 20. Good stuff. Not warm yet. Let's do 30 jumping jacks. And I'm sure we are all warm. And we jump into our first exercise. 30 jumping jacks. You ready? Jumping jacks for those, if you're new, those are jumping jacks, okay? 30 reps. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 more. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20, 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. Good. Our first exercise. You get your book, get the plate, anything you can step on. So our first exercise, we're going to do an elevated squat, okay? This one is a direct hit for your quads, right? So now, zieke karibu na wewe hapo. You're going to step them on your heels, hence elevated heel squats, okay? Now, for us to be able to grow those muscles for the legs, because you know you can grow muscles using body weight, okay? Now, for us, we're going to do that. We're going to try something totally different today. We're going to implement something we call a mechanical drop set. Okay? Now, the mechanical drop set we're going to do today, we're going to work 3 exercises that make 1 set. Okay? So the first exercise that produces the first set, itakuwa elevated squat, okay? Elevated heel squats, okay? So here, that's the first exercise, elevated heel squats. First. Second exercise, we're going to go in for narrow squats. So narrow squats, we're not stepping on anything, just putting your legs narrow, closing in the gap a bit. Then we're going to go in for the squat. Okay, narrow squat. With that exercise, to make that set, we're going to do wide stance squats. Okay, more or less like sumo squat. Utafungua tu miguu wide, then we will squat. Now, get me clearly here. We're doing these exercises 20 reps each, and we're doing them back to back. So we start with elevated heel, 20 reps, then immediately after the 20, hakuna waste time, tunaingia close stance squats. We're going for 20 as well. Tukimaliza, tunafungua mguu hivi. We're going for 20 non-stop. Right, that makes the first set. Hope you're getting it. Hope you're good. Perfect. Now, can we do this? Brillianto. Let's do this. Let's go. 20 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here there's no tempo, so just go down and come back up, okay? 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. From there to India close stance, 20 reps, non-stop. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going for the wide stance from Guamigu. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. Now, one of the other factors we're doing today is that we're reducing our rest time to only 15 seconds. Then we jump into the second exercise, okay? So we're keeping the reps high, we're reducing our rest time, we're implementing the mechanical drop set, okay? Perfecto. Perfect. Let's start again the second set. Inclined heel squat, 20 reps, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Close stance, 20 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Going in for the wide. Let's go. 1. Gonna break. 2. Push it. 3. We're trying to make sure that we increase the time, the tension on the muscles. Okay. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Good job. 15 seconds breather. The aspect of let's break is to increase time under tension. Okay. This destroys more fibers, muscles on the leg, tissues and all that, which makes sure that zikianza kugrow zinagrow even bigger and larger. Good stuff. Starting with that set. Are you ready? Elevated heel stance, elevated heel squat. We're good? Let's go. 1, 20 counts. 2, straight set number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Push it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Close stance. 20 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Widen it out. Are you ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good job. 7, 8, 9, 10. Good to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Good job. 15 seconds breather. We start the 4th set. Then we're done with exercise set A for today. Go to exercise set B. Are you ready? Our timer is up. Let's go. Elevated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hata kama wewe ni beginner, do as many reps as you can. Okay? Is that 10? That has always been my mantra nowadays. 20 hivyo. Give me as many good reps as you can. I'm not going to limit you to 10 or 5. Okay? 5 more to go. Turn the close. Close stance to 20. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good. Wide stance. 20 reps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good job. How you feel? You okay? This is just to show you, that even if you don't have a gym, in all your workouts, be it chest, arms, legs, whichever, key things to play around is the reps. Number 1, increase your reps. Okay. Number 2, try kill your rest time. If you usually take about 30 seconds to rest, kill it. Maybe by half or reduce it by 10 seconds. Okay? That one also helps in terms of body weight, you being able to build up muscles. Number 3, variate your workout. Okay, have variations. Okay? Number 4, it's like what we're doing today. Number 1, we're increasing the time that we are putting the muscle and attention. Okay? That's still under that minimum time for rest. Okay? Another factor is now like what we're doing, implementing the mechanical drop set. So we're doing 3 exercises zimefuatana to make 1 set. Instead of doing 1 squat, let's say just the heel elevated squat, that becomes set 1, another exercise becomes set 2. No. Those 3 exercises make 1 set. Okay. If you variate your workouts like that, I kid you not, those muscles will not grow. Okay, so regardless whether you have access to a gym or not, hence, courtesy of NTV, we're able to give you this knowledge, and I hope you're enjoying the exercise for legs. Yeah, I hope you learned something new. Good. Now, we're going to the second bunch. Our second bunch of exercises. Now, we're done with the books. You can put them away. Let me change my mat position. So our next 3 exercises. We're going to do jumping squats. Everything is still under 20. Okay? 20 jumping squats. Then we're going, now jumping squats are basically do your squat, just jump up. Okay. I'm sure because I've already shown up with the fear. Mine I am. That's the first exercise. The second exercise we're going to do a lunge. The lunge I want us to do today, it's here, and you're just there. 1, 2, 3, evolve. All the way to 20. So, if you can't do that for any reason, be it an injury or any back issues or anything like that, do the conventional lunge. You can do the front lunges or you can do the reverse lunges. Okay, for that. The third exercise we're going to do will be the wall sit. Now, for the wall sit, we'll be holding it for 45 seconds. This is basically a wall sit. So I hope you have a wall that is accessible in your house. If there's something, there's a door that you're able to access that wall. So we're going to be holding it here for 45 seconds. Okay, perfect. Are you ready? I'm ready. I'm liking it, I'm loving it. So far so good. I hope you're enjoying it. And thank you so much for making NTV your number 1 choice. Good. So now, another jumping squats. Ishirini. Okay? Immediately we come to the lunge. Each leg ishirini. Okay? Immediately after that, tuenda kukuta ish for 45 seconds. Okay? I'm trying to explain that in advance because I'm also doing the exercise, so I'm trying to take as minimal time as possible, which is 15 seconds. But if you can cut it even less to 5-10 seconds, why not? Good. Are we ready? So we're starting with jumping squats. Shirini. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 seconds breather in between. Are you ready? Going in for the lunge. 20. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. You ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Woo! 10 seconds breather. Woo! Did you feel that? Good job. Change the other leg. Same 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ouch. Woo. 20. 45 seconds breathe. So we're going here. Forward squat. 45 seconds. Katie, let's go. Hold it there. The hands off. Usishikilie mwili. Oh my God, my legs are shaking. While you see, my legs are shaking. After 35 seconds, 10 more. 5 more. Woo! Oh my. Oh my. Oh. Yeah? No. Zangu zinapiga makelele hivi. How are you feeling? You can do this. We're going in for the second set. 20 jumping squats. I hope you're liking it because I am. Good, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! 15 seconds breather. Your lunge. The legs starting to feel super fatigued. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Wow. Oh my. Good job. You balance the other leg. Oh my. Oh my God. We're here, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Woo! In the wall squat. Are you ready? Let's go. This is set number 2. "30 seconds, 15 more to go." My legs are shaking. Woo. 5 more seconds. Ah. Woo. Oh my. Oh my God. My legs are trembling, like super trembling. How are you feeling? Oh my God. This is awesome. You're doing great. You're the best teammate I could have asked for this exercise. Okay, you good? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Oh my. How are you feeling? Finger lunges. I'm feeling weak already. Oh my God. I'm feeling good? Let's go. 20 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 20. Oh. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. Yeah? Kubaya. Breathe. I also need a break, trust me. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling fatigued. My legs are almost completely out. You ready? 2 and 1. Let's go. 45 seconds hold. Hold it there. Just try and relax. I know how I'm feeling. So I know you're feeling the same. I know the feeling. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's doable. We have hacked it so far. Let's still hack it some more. It's the last set. This is where I'm going to finish with 3 sets because of time. Oh my God, my legs are vibrating. 5 more seconds. Oh. Ouch. Ouch. And my awesome viewer, that's it. We're done. I'm also completely out. Try line. Okay? It's all body weight. Super intense. I hope you loved it. I loved every bit of it.
Jerusalema ikayalami ilondoloze uhambe nami.
NTV brings you loads of exciting shows to keep the young ones busy as they learn.
My name is Mary. What do you like to do, Mary? I like to dance with you. Let's dance!
Kipi kikusi chako.
Kipi tiku shiki.
Kipi kikusi chacho.
It's okay, you find a way, just use your brain.
Cool.
We may be young, but we are so strong.
Tune in every weekday from 9 a.m. and Saturday from 7:30 a.m.
We may be young, but we are so strong.
Love garlic in your food but hate the hustle of making it? Introducing fresh fried garlic, specially crafted with garlic oil for healthy living. The oil has a beautiful garlic aroma and adds an extra kick when used on your favorite meals. Fresh fried garlic combines wonderfully on salads, stir fries, marination for meat, or simply when sprinkled on your favorite dish. Try fresh fried garlic today. Available in all leading outlets countrywide.
This is NTV.
Good morning, East Africa, and welcome to your world. Now, this morning, we focused on persons living with disability and their experiences when it comes to dating and marriage. In a while, I'll be joined by two married couples, a young man, and of course, a family and marriage therapist, as we take time to understand how those living with disability cope when it comes to these social issues. My name is Gladys Gachanja, and this is What Else You Can Expect. As I mentioned, today we look at the intricate details of being in a relationship for a person with disability. It is probably not what you think. They are blind, but they still see each other's hurts. A man and his wife have not let their visual impairment hold them back. Food security in Morocco is under threat as precious water resources are diverted from farms to households. Monkeys in Pradesh, India are making life a living hell for residents as they run amok in the state. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast. As I mentioned, today we are focusing on relationships and dating for those that are living with disabilities. So our question of the day to you is, are you in a relationship with someone living with a disability, or have you dated someone with a disability? Well, would like to hear your experience using that hashtag new normal on our social media platforms, and you can also reach us using that number at the bottom of your screen. Before we get to all that, let's take a look at the numbers in as far as COVID-19 is concerned around the world. That number this morning stands at 47,319,870 confirmed cases, 34,035,462 have totally recovered from the same, and we have lost 1,211,268 people around the world to COVID-19. Closer home, as you heard from yesterday's briefing, so this far 56,601 confirmed cases right here in the country. Out of that number, 37,442 have recovered, and we have lost 1,027 Kenyans to COVID-19. Again, I reiterate, it has been said over and over again, we are in the second wave of COVID-19, so do take care, do not forget those three cautionary measures: wear your mask, keep social distance, and of course wash your hands with soap regularly. A look at across the world on some of the stories that are making headlines, and closure of polling stations and counting of ballots in Algiers after Algerians voted on a revised constitution the regime hoped would neutralize a protest movement, one at which at its peak swept longtime President Abdelaziz Bouteflika from power. Not all young Algerians rejected the revised constitution. I voted yes because I support change, said trader Abdinour Gunichi, and he is 34 years after casting his ballot in Algiers. I'm optimistic about the future. President Tebboune has promised to give young people an important place. Outside the capital, activists held isolated demonstrations and ripped up campaign posters, and others like Ahmed Mohand, a man in his 80s in a suburb of Algiers, chose not to vote, saying there are too many divisions surrounding this project. Elsewhere, the ruling RHDP party in Ivory Coast held a press conference after the opposition said it would reject vote results. Ruling party director Adama Bektogo warned FFI Ngusan and his cohorts against any attempt at destabilization. At least 5 people died in clashes on Saturday in central Tebeso and Ome and Tehiri village, according to security and medical sources. Protests degenerated into clashes between ethnic communities who back rival political factions, according to witnesses. According to the office of Tebeso's mayor, a member of Ouattara's party, some of the 27 injured in the town had gunshot and stab wounds. Parched fields stretch as far as the eye can see on plains overlooking Agadir in southwestern Morocco, as precious water resources are diverted from the drought-hit agricultural heartland to households. For the past 3 years, the region has been struggling with a drought that exacerbated water resources and prompted authorities to make a painful choice. Ahmed, a Moroccan farmer, says a lot of farmers stopped their activities after the water was cut off by the dam and all the crops they had dried up. Another farmer added the cooperative has only one well that is not enough for the 60 members, and everyone needs 10 hours of irrigation per day, and that's not enough. My land needs a lot of water. Closer home, Tanzania's opposition on Saturday called on supporters to take to the streets to protest President John Magufuli's landslide election victory, which it says was fraudulent, demanding a fresh vote. Magufuli was declared the winner Friday with a crushing 84% of votes, while his Chama cha Mapinduzi CCM ruling party took 97% of the 264 elected parliament seats. These are some of the reactions and newspaper headlines in Tanzania after the announcement.
Nimepokea vizuri, nimefurahishwa kwa sababu uchaguzi ulikuwa ni wa haki. Kwa hiyo matokeo ambayo tumeyafurahia ni mazuri kwa sababu tumempigia kura kiongozi ambaye tulikuwa tunamtaka aongoze kwa miaka 5 iliyobaki. Matarajio yangu kwa sasa kwa miaka hii 5 iliyobaki ni tu Mheshimiwa Pombe Magufuli aendeleze yale ambayo alikuwa ameahidi, na tunaamini ya kwamba atatekeleza kama alivyokuwa amesema katika kampeni zake.
Na ushindi huu ni kwamba umemuingiza madarakani kwa mara pili kwa yale aliyofanya mema na mazuri. Ndio maana imempa ushindi mkubwa sana. Pia sisi wenyewe tunakubali kazi zake, tunazipokea kazi zake vizuri sana. Tunazifurahia.
And to our focus of the day, a man and his wife in Mbeere South, Embu County, have not let their visual impairment hold them back from fending for their children. The couple has been married for 40 years and blessed with 4 children. Rose Wangui has the story of Benjamin Nyaga and Lois Wanja, which points to the phrase, marriage works.
Love is blind, they say, and in some instances so much so that it sees beyond actual blindness. Benjamin Nyaga and his wife, 66-year-old Lois Wanja, were both born blind, and so they have never seen each other. However, in 1980, in Kariaguri village, Mbeere South, Embu County, they started their life together. 40 years into marriage and 4 children later, in a story of their life together, they both put on brave faces that primarily invoke admiration as opposed to pity.
I educated my 4 children. Some completed high school, while others didn't.
Although their married life has been full of the usual ups and downs, they strive to keep the ups more tangible with fond memories and simple living. However, one of the valleys they are in is that of poverty. They say they toil to eke out a living. But Benjamin remains determined to play his role as the man of the home and breadwinner.
I started selling tobacco in 1967.
For Lois, tending to her goats comes naturally because what she lacks in physical vision, she has more than made up for with her voice. In the evening, to bring in her flock to heel, she puts maize in a container to entice the goats. Lois says she has never benefited from the government cash transfers programs meant for the elderly and people living with disabilities.
Once enrolled in the program, the cash will help me buy food and employ somebody to assist me.
The couple are determined to show the world that their disability is not a handicap to them and that they may be blind, but their love is anything but that. It is visionary. Rozongoi, NTV.
So that puts to perspective our conversation of the day, dating, marriage amongst people or persons who are living with disability. And to help us understand this further in studio, we have Joanne Kirera, who is a family and marriage therapist. We are joined in the other studio by Elvis Odhiambo, who has a hearing impairment. We are also joined by Eric Ngondi and Purity Mokami, who are a married couple. Eric is visually impaired, and in a moment we'll be joined by another couple from Kakamega. And yeah, there they go, John and Suzanne Mori. And in this case, Suzanne Mori is the one who is physically impaired. Thank you all for joining us on this conversation. I'll start off with you, Joanne. Most often than not, I'm sure guys will be thinking about relationships amongst those living with disability today for the first time. But from your experience, what's unique about these relationships?
Thank you, Gladys. I would say they are relationships like any other, because apart from being or having a disability, these people are unique individuals. So if you're to look at this person, you're going to look at this person holistically, apart from just the disability part, is what are they? Do they fit into what I'm looking for, or what fits a definition of a spouse to me? So we need to look at them broader than just people with disability, because they are people first, with values, with virtues, with characteristics that are desirable by many other people out there. If we see them in that way, then we will be able to first of all see the person, then second the disability. Yes.
Okay, and when we think about the couples, actually, the ones we have on air today are those that one is has a physical impairment or whatever disability, and the other one is okay. When somebody is walking into a relationship where you have to date somebody with a physical or a disability, what should you factor in?
That's a very tricky question to answer, because different people look for different things.
Yes.
But I'll use two dynamics to this setup, where the first one is where you meet someone who has what you were looking out for in a spouse, and you do not feel that that person having a disability makes them less of a person. And that's a very good and healthy perspective into dating this person and getting into a marriage with them. But there's a second perspective where people feel pity for this person because they are struggling or going through something, and probably because this person was raised in a family where they learn to take care of others. So, well, each of us come from families that are, there's no family that is 100% healthy or functional, and therefore part of dysfunctions in a family is where you learn to take care of others and becomes a way of life. So if you attract a partner who has a disability or not, because it can be a physical one, visible one or not, but still the reason why you feel attracted to them is because you want to fix them, to save them, to become their helper, because you feel they are needy and you can meet that need. Now that can be very tiring in a marriage setup. So as we begin from what attracts them, it can be different for two people. But there are people who are attracted by genuineness, by the person, by the spouse, and you're ready to work with them because you see their capacities and you feel they will be a person you can work with as an equal partner and not as a person you need to help or fix. Now, the second one is the one that can tire and become very difficult in the marriage. But if the reason was the first one where you see them as equal partners, irrespective of their disability, then you're good to go.
Okay, now you can be very open-minded and ready to love them as they are, but the circumstances they are in will actually have an impact on the marriage or the dynamics of the marriage. So the person walking into this space with somebody living with disability, what should they be ready for?
That is very diverse, because one has to understand the type of disability a partner or the person they're intending to marry has and what it means for them. Because some people have disabilities, but they are more or less functional. Say, for example, just probably because they walk with a stick, still a disability, but a lot more functional in very many other ways. So I would say, first of all, understand the nature of disability and what aspects of your life it is going to affect. Because if it is visual, it's different from, you know, someone who has another physical impairment, another one who totally can't walk. And by talking about this, I don't mean to stigmatize any, it's just to say they are different. And so understanding the nature of that disability and what it means for you is very, very useful. Okay, so that if a person can't see, then you need to understand, are you going to be their caretaker all their life, or have they learned some level of independent, so that you know you can come in some and you cannot come in some. So it's very, very important to understand that particular disability. And this is also the case of other disabilities that are not physical, because physical is not the only one. It's just understanding what nature of disability, how is it going to affect me? What does it mean for me? And what does it mean for my family and for my society as well? Because we can't live away from family and we exist in a society as well. So it is important to understand what it means for all those factors and prepare for them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Now let's hear those who walk in these shoes. Earlier on, I introduced you to Eric Ngondi and Purity Mukami, and Eric is visually impaired. Eric, you have been visually impaired all your life and you met your beautiful wife. How was that dating process?
Thank you, Gladys. Just a bit of correction there. I've been blind for about now 9 years. Yeah, and I met my wife before I lost sight, and we were not dating or anything. We were just a college mate, and long after I finished and I lost sight, we let's say continue. I looked for her. We continued being friends and hitched. Yeah.
Okay,
so that's in a brief. Yeah.
Okay, and what was the cause of your blindness?
Yeah, that was as a result of 2 incidents separated by 2 years. One in 2009 where I was attacked while hiking in Ngong Hills, and the other incident was 2 years later in 2011 when I was traveling on a highway at night, and again I was attacked and I was with my dad. So in the second incident, I lost the right eye, and in the first incident, I lost the left eye.
Okay, and you say at this point you'd already met Purity. So now introducing yourself with this impairment, what was her reaction?
Very interesting. Maybe just going back a bit, although I know she will share. Back in campus, I was a student leader, and she joined as a junior student leader, and we used to share, tips and I can say some sort of mentorship from my end. And then when I finished, like 2 years down the line, I lost sight, and when I lost sight, she was one of the persons who will come and encourage me, and together with many other college friends of mine, we were in JKUAT back those days. Yeah, and in the process of coming to encourage me, and we used to share and talk, and now I suppose that's when maybe the relationship started growing, but yeah, it wasn't that easy in brief. Yeah.
Okay, now let's hear from Purity. So you were there as a support system to Eric, and he is facing this new life. When did it cross over from friendship to more than friendship?
More than friendship was 2010. And I was still in campus for 3 years, so I was finishing. And you remember he said he lost the first eye in 2009. Yes. So when he proposed for more than a friendship, he had one eye. And I told myself, it's just one eye that he doesn't have. And some relative who is a doctor advised on some beautification item that would make him not look like he doesn't have an eye. So when he lost the second eye, we were already dating, but we are not yet married. So all I had to be is be present with him at all that time, pray with him, and then 2 years later is when we got married.
Okay, so you did something that most people wouldn't or choose not to. You stuck with him even as life was changing for him in that way. Why? What about this guy?
He was a very generous guy back in campus. When he used to see, he used to be really generous. So that's what used to move me. And I thought, now he deserves to get the support also, because I would always experience him as a generous person to so many of us. In fact, when he proposed, I thought the other person was the girlfriend. You were so close. The other person was the girlfriend, you know, because he was really close and open and really kind to so many people. So when he chose it's me, I thought he only deserved a yes. But also I was raised by a very open-minded family. So even when he lost sight, my grandmother was like, is he the first person you've seen who doesn't see? People who don't see still make their lives work.
Yes.
So I also got a lot of support from my family.
Oh, that's a good grandmommy. And for you, Eric, I'm imagining life is changing so fast. You're losing your sight. You're still young. And here's a lady who's saying, I am willing to walk this life with you. At some point, did you doubt her commitment?
Good question. As she commented earlier, in 2011, I was when the day I lost sight, she came to visit me in hospital, and I was at my lowest point because I didn't know what I'll do, whether I'll go back, whether my employer will take me back, and in my head I really thought maybe this is also the end of a nice relationship that we had started. So I told her something silly like, you know, maybe this is the time that you probably need to look elsewhere, because now I don't have sight and all that. But she was very encouraging, very supportive, and dismissed that as you know, a notion, you know. So she was there for me all along.
Okay. All right. And apart from her standing by you, what about Purity stood out for you amongst all these other people that you also close to?
Oh, very interesting. One, for me, she's assertive, she's independent, and her love is genuine, you know. She does not quote things, and she's a beautiful person, yeah. Those days she was beautiful, and I believe even now she's still beautiful. And so she endeared me all along. Yeah.
Okay, Eric, I can confirm she's still very beautiful.
Thank you.
All right. Now, Joanne, just listening to the story, clearly the dynamics are a little bit different. You know, they met before he became visually impaired and they chose to stick together. But they're also very aware of the other person's strengths. And that's what they went for. So in this case, help us understand how it is important to make a decision with these things in mind.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Why it is important to make decisions with the other person's attributes in mind,
Yes.
because life will change with time as it did for them.
And that is important for anyone in marriage or intending to get married to think through, because anyone can have a disability any single time. We think of disability as something out there because it's not affecting us in the current. But then when we get married or we are intending to get married, it's important to think, would I stick with this person if everything else happened? If any other external thing happened, and that would be an illness, an accident, or whatever else that would cause a disability, physical or not. Okay, so if the attributes are the ones that you marry, and this is why the aspects like the physical looks should come much, much later after the values. Values need to come first. Who is this person? Minus how they look, minus what they have. See, if that is what you're going to go with, then it is possible for you to carry on even when something tragic like an accident happens or a disability happens. And I like what Purity has shared, because it is the inner values, the generosity, the ability to help this person that was out there and chose her when he had no disability, or at least had a little bit of it. And so much later, she saw the need to work with what she had seen previously, because that was still present. And that is what every other person needs to focus on. Yes.
Okay, let's hear from the other couple joining us from Kakamega County, and that is John and Suzanne Nyamori. Thank you for joining us. Now, Suzanne Nyamori is physically disabled, but she is a teacher and has been married to John for a while. Suzanne, I'll start off with you. How did you end up being physically impaired?
I had polio at 11. When I was in class 6.
Okay, and I can imagine the dating life was quite an interesting one, leave alone growing up, yeah?
Very serious one. Because,
yes,
like, I'm in a wheelchair now. I was on crutches and all that. But like in a wheelchair, people don't even see you. They see the wheelchair, you know? When they see you, they just see the wheelchair. So instead of seeing the beautiful you sitting there and what can be, what is positive about you, what they see is the wheelchair. And so,
okay, and when did you get married?
We got married in 2014.
And at what age were you at?
I was 51.
And why did it take so long to get a life partner?
It took so long because I was also very particular. You had to take me for what I was. You had to value me. And I was not just going for anybody, not for marriage as an institution. But I wanted somebody to appreciate me for whom I was. And to know my worth. Otherwise, if that was not going to come, like the experiences I had even before that, then it was okay. Marriage was going to stay, yeah.
And you talk about the experiences before. What were those experiences while dating?
Yeah, people sometimes would, they won't see you, or even as they see you, as they get to know whom you are, still you are in a wheelchair. You know, they see your disability more than your abilities. And yet that is not everything. I remember even another time there's somebody I thought was a possibility, telling me that, you know, it is not very easy to take you to people, to show that you're a wife and all that, because the worth of a man comes from the lady he brings forth to marry. And I looked at it and I said, it's okay. Somebody has to appreciate whom I am first. Those are the foundations that made me say somebody has to know who I am, appreciate me the way I am, before I can allow anybody to take me.
Okay, and clearly John passed that test. That's why he's here today, eh?
Yeah, indeed.
Okay, and what is it about John that made you say, okay, fine, this one I think it can work?
At first I didn't think it would, and I really tried to discourage him. Like I would tell somebody that Me, if you want to be friends with me, I was a proponent of abstinence before marriage. So that is what I would tell somebody. And if you are looking for something more than that, then you can as well go on. And of course, many people would go, but he refused to go. He said he also would like. Said me, I don't. If that is what you're looking for, and he said no, I'm also looking for a marriage partner. And we didn't meet. We communicated for a whole month before we met face to face. And I think by then he had proved himself.
Okay, let's hear from John. You met or you were told about Suzanne now that you had never met until a month later. What about her attracted you?
Thank you very much, yes. In fact, Susan, I knew Susan through my cousin. In fact, my cousin, they were fellowshipping with her, and there were some discussion of marriage. Yes, I do before getting married. So my cousin came to me and said, oh, my brother, I have, in fact, by the way, I'm a widower of 3 children. The late wife passed in 1993, December. She died because of meningitis. So she left me with 3 children. I was trying to survive with them because what I was looking the education for these children. And I thank God, I managed to educate them up to the university level when my firstborn finished her university. It's when now she started pushing me very hard. Daddy, you must look for somebody to stay with. I don't want to see you reading Bible all the time. You must get somebody to accompany you so that your life might go somewhere. So I said, fine, I'll try to look somebody. This is when my cousin came to me and told me about the Susan. So before we met, in fact, she gave me the number, I called her, we talked, and then we just do introduction. I'm so and so, your number been given by my cousin, and then I leave it there. So the next time again, I called. So every evening after work, I just go and call her and we talk. So I try to keep her as busy as possible because my cousin already told me the condition of her, and I say a human being is a human being. There's no perfection. Even me, as I was working, I can be disabled anytime. So disability is not inability. So that is the right person I can go with. So when I met her, the first thing I told her, I don't want friendship. I need somebody to stay with. Because I'm a mature person, my children are big, and I look somebody to stay with as a wife. So I went to her place and I told her face to face, my dear, I love you so much. And what I want you to do, I want you to be, because the way we have been talking for the whole month, you are very frank, you are open, and I need somebody who is outspoken because I'm already having children. And the children, if you have the children, you must have a mother who can speak to the children, not somebody who have words inside, somebody who can tell his mind to the children, who can guide them. So we discussed. Then I just said, no, what we do here at the school here, let's go outside, we take lunch, and then we can discuss more outside there.
Now.
This is how I met this beautiful man.
All right, I love your story.
And maybe let me also say,
yes.
Let me also say, you know how you have your own ideas. I can't. These are the person I can marry. This one I can't, and all that. I think I had 2 people that I felt no. These ones I can't marry any of them. One of them was a widow, another one was a pastor. Those ones I thought were not whatever. I'd like somebody to I'd just like to bring it in a bit lightly, but maybe somebody, you have a list. This is what, this one no, this one no, this one no. And just in that talking in that manner, by the time we were meeting and we were agreeing now to get married, even the widowhood was not an issue now. It never became an issue.
Yes.
Yeah. And yet it was one of the things that I said, no, a widow, because that one, a dead wife is perfect. When you go there, there's a perfection. Somebody will be expecting something, and this other person is there, you know.
Yes.
So he's perfect. So you will be compared to, the comparison will not work. But that has not even, it is not featured.
And by the way, if I may add a bit, you see, I'm a widower, she's not a widower, she is not married. This thing brings a lot of issues among the family.
Okay, now let me stop you at that point. I'll come back to you so that you can tell us the impact on the family. But quickly tell me, how long have you been married now?
This is our sixth
year. The 6th year.
6th year.
2014.
The 5th year.
Congratulations to you. Congratulations. And Joanne, again, listening to them, you clearly can tell the maturity, what they wanted and what they were looking for. And it didn't matter how they looked like or what they did not have or even their past. Now, these are fundamentals in any marriage, whether somebody is living with a disability or not. Talk about this.
Yes, there are fundamentals, and more fundamentals even in a case of disability. But I like how Susan was so clear on who she is. And self-stigma is one of the worst things we can do to ourselves, for whatever reason. Because some are not even in disability, but they still self-stigmatize. Like you see things within you or in you and you hate yourself for that. That's what I'm calling self-stigma. And so she was able to separate the person, her, and her disability. There's a person, me, my attributes, and I want someone to see me for me and not for where I am. And that is an amazing thing that all of us can do. It's really a basic fundamental. Because we imagine us who have no disabilities don't suffer those kind of things. But we do equally the same. And so that for me stood out, like she was very aware of who she is, and she wants someone, she was looking out for someone who can see who she is and not the other part of disability. And the second part is to allow us, whether in disability or not, but more in disability, to identify the circle of control and the circle that is not within our control. And what is within our control is, can I fix this disability? Can it be treated? Can it be handled? If you determine it cannot, then that is not within your circle of control. You have to make peace and heal from whatever that has caused, because society can cause a lot of issues with that, and people around you, and even family, and even self. So if I cannot change the way I look, whichever one, if I cannot change a form of disability I have, then why would I need to keep beating myself because of this disability? But it's not as easy as I'm putting it, and I'm aware of that. And this is why we say if you're not able to handle it, you may need a professional to walk you through that journey of you being able to accept and appreciate yourself for who you are, because that needs to take a journey. But also determine what is within your control you can control. And part of that is to take care of you, to love you, to appreciate you, to value you. And once you have put value in you, then it is highly likely that the other person will see your value. Once you devalue yourself because of a disability without looking at who you are as a person, then you allow other people to automatically devalue you, because you cannot be able to, no one can give you what you haven't given yourself. So for anyone dealing with disability or not, understand your value, build yourself to be able to get to that place of valuing you before and in marriage. Because even people with disability, most of them lose themselves in the marriage. She doesn't seem to have lost herself, which is a good thing. Yeah. But once a person loses themselves, then they begin to depend entirely on the other person without realizing that they are unique individuals with enough capacities within them. Maybe one area may be challenged, but doesn't mean the other areas are challenged. It could be just one area or two, but then the other areas are more functional, probably functional than the others.
Yeah.
More in that sense. So being able to understand your value And understanding what is within your circle of control is very, very useful.
Okay, now let's hear from somebody who is younger. We are joined by Elvis Odhiambo, who has a hearing impairment. Now, Elvis, how old are you and are you currently dating?
Yes, my name is Elvis. That is my sign language. Thank you, Gladys. I am 37 years old. I have a wife of 30 years. I met my girlfriend when we were in the church of Emmanuel Church for the Deaf. And I saw a beautiful girl, and I thought about her. I started thinking how we can become friends with this beautiful girl. And I tried to ask her, maybe she thought I have another girlfriend, but slowly I moved with her in the church, and then we started meeting in the hotel, eating chips and cuckoos, and you know, she was a student at Kuja School for the Deaf, so she had not finished Form 4. And now we again meeting her parents in Komorok, and we agreed to meet, and we talked, and I said I had I have a girlfriend, but I need someone who is strong. So I was aware I have this girl, and then I thought about choosing her, and I waited for her to finish school Form 4, and then we agreed that I wait until she finishes her school. Her mother, who was staying in Komorok, I tried to talk with the family, and they were not sure about Elvis. Maybe Elvis is trying to cheat our daughter and then to do away with her. But as I insisted, even when she was in school, I was patient with her until she finishes. So people asking me, why are you waiting for her? Because I found it is important to be patient until she finished Form 4 and finished the exams. And now I tried again talking with her about starting the relationship with her. But I'm happy she focused with me. And we waited until everything was confirmed. And you see, both of us, we were there and we agreed. And after we met with the parents and everything, so we were serious. And then after that, when she also told her parents that Elvis is good and I'm ready to be married about her. And he is older than me because, you know, even there was no problem with our ages. So because the years were not the problem, because now I'm feeling happy and I thank God because she didn't think about the age like a problem, but she was happy with my strength. That's, you know, we were friends for 4 years, and then we started living together in 2019, and until now we have one son who is 1 year, 5 months old. I thank God for that.
Oh, well done and congratulations. Okay, now you said she was in the same school as you were, so that means she also has a hearing impairment, right?
Yes, both of us, we are deaf.
So did that make things easier for you, communication, understanding each other's circumstances?
Very easy to communication was very easy. If there was a problem, we can sort it very well because, you know, both of us are deaf.
Okay, so how do you communicate with your son?
I can speak a bit. I can produce some sounds because I was deaf when I was 8 years. I can speak some Luo and English even if I don't hear. So my son knows that the father is deaf. So the parents are deaf. So she tries to understand us when when he wants to sleep. Sometimes he uses some gestures which can make us know.
Aha. And do you work with a support system that also helps you bridge the communication with your son?
Yes, I have a small challenge, but I want to try and in future, I'm just thinking about the challenge of supporting my son only, but I'm seeing it's okay. There's nothing problem. There are just some few challenges when we are traveling like to Kisumu, maybe in the change of the weather, 1 or 2 weeks. That is how only we are having some challenges of sicknesses of this son of mine. But we are trying to take care of her well. So in future we know she'll be a good person. But now God is helping me to do well and to sort with the challenges which we are experiencing.
Okay, now quick one. Before you met your current wife, did you try dating other girls, some who did not have any disability?
Yes. I had friends who were hearing, but they were not interested in marrying a deaf person. No. But for me, I like being social. So I like signing. So you see, I tried to encourage them, and I had fear hearing children. I tried to train them how to sign.
Okay, and what was the biggest challenge apart from not dating somebody who is who has a hearing impairment? Did they wonder how that would look like socially?
Yes, also I have friends who are deaf and married to the hearing people. So there is a communication problem. I think some of the hearing people, they lie to you, you know, when you go to work, but the hearing people, sometimes they take advantage. But some of them, they lie to the deaf people. Maybe they go with other, maybe they have other relationships. But but because they always say, this is my cousin every day, But sometimes you can get them. They have been cheating on you, and then they say they are sorry. And this is the challenge which we are having. So I have friends who are married to the hearing, and they have 4 children. Yes. But now, if a deaf person marries a hearing person, sometimes there's a communication barrier. So we need to work out how to sort that barrier. So I have another friend of mine who have married for 25 years, and they have children, and they are living well. So it varies. There are some who have communication barriers, and others they learn to lip read, and they learn how to cope with the situation. But now things are improving now, because also my children, when they grow up, they learn sign language, and then life will continue.
Okay, we hear you, and it's interesting, John. Before I take a short break, you have mentioned about the dynamics of bringing up children, especially the parents both have whatever impairment, and now these children that are coming in that have no impairment. So how do you balance that out?
The children need to be taken through a process of both lives, where they are more exposed to the world of their own, where they can communicate. And if people are going through such a scenario, I would recommend that they have a system that helps the child to understand the actual world in terms of speaking and understanding, because they can, and then also be trained. Basically, the couple needs to be helped to train this child to begin to understand their language, so that there's no disconnect. Because one of the highest needs of a child is emotional connection. and is to be listened to and to be heard and to be communicated to. So the child, if the child received both trainings for the outside world, so that when they go out there, they are not lost, because they're going to be in a world that has people who hear and they talk. So when the child goes out there, they are comfortable, but also when the child is in here, they are beginning to communicate and understand the language of their home. That is very, very useful. So my recommendation is find avenues that the child can be exposed to the outside world completely, as well as being trained to understand the inner dynamics of their own home. Yes.
And this is something that somebody should consider even before you walk down that marriage path, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, it's very, very useful, because most of the time people look at the love aspect, even just the normal couples.
Yes.
We just think love is enough, or we are fit for each other, without looking at the very many other dynamics, inclusive of what if there are no children, or what if we got children who are in a certain type of way. But then again, I think in the African culture, looking at those dynamics is being pessimistic. But yet they happen to humanity. I believe that would give us more preparedness, so that we are looking at all possible things. What if one person got incapacitated to some level, or, you know, acquired some disability? What is going to happen? What if children were in this particular setup, so the child was not as functional as we expect them to be? What is going to happen? Discussing these issues prior and having these issues consistently discussed, because we are living in a real world that these things happen, is useful to have us prepared at mind level. That does not mean we will not go through the loss if they happen, but then we go through the loss knowing they can happen to anyone, as opposed to they can never happen to us. One can make us stuck, the other one can make us progressive.
Okay. All right. There you have it. We are talking about dating and marriage for the persons living with disability. You've heard from the couples, we have two of them, and of course actually even Elvis, who is married to a lady who is also who also has a hearing impairment. Now we understanding the dynamics of these relationships and of course the dating prior, and would like to hear from you. Are you dating? Have you ever dated somebody with a disability? What was your experience? Remember that hashtag is a new normal on our social media platforms, and if you can have some of that feedback. Henry Lisutsa says, no, but my friend has one lady, they got married and are staying or living a good life. The lady is deaf, but he knows everything as a woman. Disabilities have no issues if you get one. Thank God. Henry, we hear you. Deno says, yes, she's one of the most beautiful and amazing people I know. Roho safi kama pamba. Tabia nazo ni nzuri we. Na by the way, ukimwona huwezi jua. We hear you, Deno. You sound very happy. Cherry Ort says, hawapatikani. Ay, aje sasa. These couples can actually tell you, and of course even Elvis, that there is a community of those living with disabilities that are ready to date and to mingle. Well, when we come back, we hear more from them. Stay with us.
Fact finder from the BBC.
When they speak about Ebola, you may see people there saying that it is a business from outsiders countries.
We'll tell you how misinformation is keeping Ebola patients away from clinics and driving the numbers of infection.
How did Nigeria go polio-free for 3 years? We went digging for the facts.
And former Ghanaian President Jerry Rawlings recounts his experience as a victim of fake news.
And we also tell you how social media posts saved a sick giraffe in a Kenyan game park.
What a relief. Thank you, Gold Crown.
If regular milk makes you feel uncomfortable, try Gold Crown lactose-free milk. Milk that loves you.
Nawa mikono kwa sekunde 20 kama Elmo.
Thank you for staying with Your World. My name is Gladys Gachanja. Today we are focusing on marriage and dating amongst persons living with disabilities. Still in studio with me, family and marriage therapist, that is Joanne Kirera. We're also joined in the other studio by Alvis Odhiambo, who has a hearing impairment. John and Suzanne Yamuri joining us from Kakamega virtually, and Suzanne has a physical impairment. We're also joined by Eric Ngondi and his wife, Purity Mokami. Eric is visually impaired. Thank you for staying with us. Now, before we get back to the discussion, with skilled fingers, a Gazan couple living with disability, Nihad and Zainab Jabor, have supported themselves by sewing finely detailed dolls and costumes, but coronavirus has hurt their already meager income. Now, Nihad Jabor, one of the craftsmen, says he has been physically disabled since childhood, while Zainab had both feet amputated after contracting a rare disease while giving birth to her second child. The idea is to manufacture dolls, that is stuffed animals, ourselves instead of importing them, as imported dolls are very, very expensive. Now, I buy fabric from here at the lowest price, and this is where the idea arose. We cannot afford to import, and youth team volunteers are facing difficult circumstances. Now, getting dressed and heating the town, it may seem routine for many, but for people with disabilities, it can be a daunting experience. That's why on Thursday evenings, every couple of months, a nightclub in Mulhouse in Eastern France caters to disabled people from all over the region so that they can let their hair down and hit the dance floor. A director of one of the nightclubs says this is an example of an inclusive society. We are in the heart of the city. We're in a regular nightclub, we are not dressed up, there's nothing special, and we're spending time together. Virginia, one of the organizers, adds they are on the dance floor, jumping all over the place, having fun, smiling. That's what's great about it. As a result, I can't go out to another nightclub anymore other than on Thursdays with them. Well, it has been 17 years since the Persons with Disabilities Act was passed, but it's yet to be implemented. The Act says persons with disability are entitled to barrier-free and disability-friendly environment to enable them access amenities. Catherine Siokau is a wheelchair user. She spent a day with our reporter Ruth Samway.
For 28 years, Catherine Siokao has been on a wheelchair, a privilege not many people who need this assisted device can access. Each morning, she has to fight for space on her wheels on Thika Superhighway with all kinds of drivers traversing 27 kilometers from Ruiru to her place of work in Donholm. Struggling with impassable sidewalks characterized by deep trenches and high curbs, she is usually at the mercies of well-wishers.
Mat zinasimama like each side, then kuna hii side yenye ka sidewalk kametengenezwa, but lazima mtu akulift from there ndo ufike hapa kwa hii sidewalk. Ama drainage iko hapo, kukinyesha maji imejaa, takataka zimejaa hapo. So that's a challenge.
The rainy seasons is never a good time for them.
Taka stage, cause hakuna mtu anataka kusimama anyeshewe akikupika.
Unlike the developed world, buses in Kenya do not have doors big enough to accommodate people on wheelchair. But there are people with big hearts who are always ready to help.
There's this certain guy whom I want to really thank. When I usually alight from the matatu, he's there. And I'll fix wheelchair yangu, and I assist to cross the road. Navuka barabara, then he goes back to his work.
Although 5% of job opportunities are meant to be reserved people with disability, Catherine has found the going tough.
Na apply job, na kuwa shortlisted. Kwa CV yangu sija indicate niko na disability. So simse amefurahia na CV yangu imembamba nini. I go for the interview. Mtu kukuona hivi, shock.
The Association for the Physically Disabled Persons in Kenya can only produce 5,000 wheelchairs annually against the demand of 400,000 wheelchair users. Catherine has used more than 10 wheelchairs in 28 years, relying mainly on her family for support.
Ukiona disability yangu before uone wheelchair yangu, before ujue keti ni nani. That is your problem. Mimi niko sawa. Wewe endelea kuniadmire tu. Kuwa secret admirer, kuwa stalker. Fine. If my mama ange give up na mimi, I would not be here. I would really love to tell parents, let them be happy with their kids. Akiona mtoto amemake a milestone kidogo, they appreciate.
Ruth Sarmoi, NTV.
Don't you love the spirit Catherine has? I mean, if you do not accept yourself, really, the world will not accept you. And speaking of which, we have talked to a couples and we've talked to Elvis too, and clearly self-acceptance is there. But the question is, what happens when societal pressure starts checking in? Let's talk to Eric and Purity. Eric, you actually have, you are employed, right?
Yes, yes.
And has that been an easy process or an easy journey for you?
No, I can say it has not been easy compared to when I was sighted. When I finished campus, I started as an internship and I got a job. But soon when I lost sight, I first got some challenges because now I used to work as an quality environment health and safety officer, and now I was moved to telephone operating, to reception, to desktop marketing. Of course, they are good jobs, but that's not my background. So that was the first challenge, you know. Being moved from one job to another because of your disability. And later, we were laid off, several of us, and the process of looking for a job again was also quite hard because for one whole year I wasn't employed. But I kept myself busy, volunteering, even teaching adaptive computer. Thank you to Kenya Society for the Blind, which gave me the opportunity. But in the process of volunteering and talking to people, I kept on applying, and I was able to get an inroads into several other things. I got a fellowship, and some other challenges. I used to, like Catherine in her story, she said, the CVs for persons with disabilities are excellent, but sometimes I'll put in my CV, I'll be called, and the moment I show up, there's no facility to undertake the interview. For example, you'll find that I could not carry out the aptitude test because there was no alternative format. I'll show up and I'll be told there is no software that I can use to undertake the written interviews and such, Yeah, but eventually I applied to several places. I was called for interview to many other places, and eventually I got a place where I'm employed now in Kenya government. Thank you.
Okay, and Purity, Eric speaks of that gap where both of you were not employed, and of course I can imagine money was tight. At this point, did friends, society start whispering in your ear, things would have been different if this guy was different?
So the good thing is we kept our things to ourselves, and I was working at that point. And he also had savings. So one thing I never wanted to feel like I'm doing is make him not feel like the man. So he somehow got internships so he could pay rent, and then I could support with the other things. But where society seems a bit stigmatizing is when they assume I should be the man. So when we get into a matatu and they ask me for the money, I'm like, ask the man, mutishe. So also sometimes people feel like I should be doing what a woman should be doing and what a man should be doing. But I resist and tell them I'm the girl. So sometimes when I don't feel like driving, he has to figure out how the car will move from one point to another. And that 2 years when we didn't have a job, he literally took an internship. He paid rent the whole 2 years. But we supported each other, and we kept things to ourselves. And all that really matters to us is our family. Our family supports us, and they believe in us. So we don't listen to what other people feel. Some people feel so much pity for me. They're like, it must be hard. How do you dress him? I'm like, dress him? Like, people out there feel like it's so hard for me, but it's been a smooth ride once we started understanding each other. Of course, in the beginning, when he moved from his parents' house and we started living together, before we got the baby, I had assumed I would be the one dropping him, picking him. And when we got our daughter, things became really thick for me because I was thinking now I'm supposed to be living my life and his. But now when I become a new mother, it became so bad. Now I'm the one who left my job and now left him to work. And that's how he got his independence of moving around. So it's been a roller coaster, but a beautiful one.
Okay, clearly you guys have found somehow a way that things work for you. Let's hear from the other couple, John and Suzanne. So, Suzanne, you're a teacher and have been a teacher for a while. How does it work for you, and do you find societal stigmatization for the circumstances the two of you are in?
Yeah. Fortunately, I went to Form 6 Thursdays. So after Form 6, you could TSC just, if you qualify to be a teacher, TSC just gave you the opportunity to be one. So I didn't have, the interviews I used to go to before that were for going for diploma. That one I was a UT. I started as a UT. Immediately after Form 6, I got into teaching. I got that TSC posting, and I stayed there for so long. very, very long. Because I would go for the interviews for the diploma, and they didn't believe I could be a teacher. I remember this one time I even went in, the tiles were, I was on crutches, and the tiles were so, I slipped on the tiles and fell down. The interviewers picked me up, and that was the end of the interview, of course. I never got interviewed. And I never got to go to college through that. In fact, I went to KU. I went to KU a bit later after teaching for so long. Then I went there when they started this program, parallel program. That's when I went, and I got my degree. But even before that, people did not believe I could be a teacher. I remember when I told my mother that I wanted to be a teacher, she was so frustrated. She even went to an education officer to ask her, can she really be a teacher? And the education officer told her she can't be a teacher. How can she be a teacher and she can't write on the board? I've never written on the board up to today, and I teach and people pass. So it has, that was the, the image of people. But I love passing knowledge. I teach languages, and I love doing that. Like now I'm teaching at a teachers training college, I'm teaching teachers. I've been teaching teachers for some time. And I love them when they go out there, and they are very marketable because of the English that I teach them. I feel very good.
Very well done.
Very complicated, of course.
All right. Now, John, you had earlier started mentioning on some of the societal pressure that you had. First, you were coming in with children that needed to understand a mother who is living with a disability. Did you also deal with other pressure from other people?
Yes, I have a lot of pressure, both sides, both parents. Some also went even to my mom before my mom met her. That, oh, John got a lady who are just being fed. She can't walk, she can't do what. So my mom gets so much pressure, oh, nini. So the honest thing, when I went home, my mom asked me, my son, what happened? I said, no, I got a lady, I want to marry this lady and must do wedding. So if you want to see her, let me organize for her to come home and you see, so that you see by yourself, because people are giving you romance. Oh, Ikoivi, but I want to bring her home so that you see her. So one day we organized, Susan came home. And then I say, now, Vila Mikuja, now you prepare food, everything, they make food neat. Then when going to the temple now, they are seeing Susan can eat herself. So I just went, okay, Mama, this is the person now. They were telling you that can't eat. She's being fed. Am I feeding her? And no. You see, people outside here, they have bad attitude for those who are disabled, which is not it. You see, Susan is a woman like any other woman, whether you are disabled or you are not disabled. And I love her like that because she's open, she loves my children, she loves everybody. And at times, if you come home also, you find people say, oh, John Nadi don't want to listen to people. She's just stick to her wife, Pekeake. He's working with her all the time. I told her, Mali, because we stick together. So I told her, my friend, I must understand my wife. This is my wife. I must understand her. And now she needs me more than anybody else. So if I go away, leaving her, and maybe she wants to go somewhere, I must be there. So there are a lot of challenges, even in the family.
In fact, let me tell you one, like how he dealt with when he was introducing me, when he had brought me. He just went and told the people at home, I'm in love with somebody who is disabled, in a wheelchair, and I just want you to help me love her. That is all.
Yes.
And that was it.
Okay. I love the way you were so clear from the get-go how you're going to go about it, and it took society to get on board, or watembe. Okay, let's hear from Elvis. How has your experience been? Both of you have a hearing impairment. You're going about your life in a world that is fast moving. Are there moments where things are so bad, you lose out on opportunities, and you feel if things were different, maybe you would have better opportunities?
Thank you, Gladys. Yes, we have some, I've been having some challenges and abuses. For example, if you apply for a job and you have a very good CV, and now, there's a time I applied and I went for the interview. The skills I had, yes, I have everything. I had, but now I had the certificate from Kuja. And then, that attitude of being deaf and being disabled, they like try even to give you 50 shillings to go and take lunch. Yes, you say thank you, but that was not my thing, what I wanted. Me, I wanted the work, the employment, see the CV, see my certificates, you see. There's a time I went to teach children how to dance. I was patient for two years and then I gave up because of my disability. That is why I was not being employed. And then I went to the Door International. I applied and they know that I'm good in KSL, in Kenyan Sign Language. So I was employed because they could understand me, because the Door is working with person with disability. Also, now I am working at a TV station as a sports reporter. So I know many of we have many deaf people who have good quality of working, but because of attitudes and people just seeing the disability, that is why we normally miss those opportunities. But now things are improving. It's not like before. Also in the payment, people should see us as equal to the task, not to remunerate us not like other people. So I teach school about sign language in some areas. This helps us to look for opportunity. You see, of doing other things. So if we get some funds in future, also we are thinking of coming up with the businesses. And this way I'll be happy to know what we can be doing. Even if you, Gladys, you come to the places where we are working, we are trying to do some businesses of cooking, you can see we can do other things. Disabled people can do so many things which other people even other people without disability can do. Thank you.
And is your wife in business? Is she employed? Does she help you complement the income at home?
Yes, before she was employed, but now she's supporting the family. But this year, I know we will start a business. Maybe one day I will invite you to our business, Gladys.
All right, looking forward to that. And Joanne, the reason why I pose this question is because as much as we can be very grounded in the things we want, and especially in these circumstances, the society can bring in external pressure that can literally make you disintegrate. Talk about the importance of looking out for this.
Just like any other couple, society has a way of looking at things, because society is society. So for the people dealing with disability, there's a lot of pressure, just as much as any other couple anyway. So the first thing is what John and the wife did, being able to determine what is it we want to do with us. How do we protect ourselves against the world? If that is not well defined, and both people are not in agreement, it's going to be very, very difficult, Gladys, to deal with the world. Because if the two are united, it's easier to deal with the world. If they are not, there's already a crack, right? So the first thing is for these two people getting involved to decide what is it we want for ourselves and how much do we want to allow the world to come on board. I found that very helpful, that you can only help me love her. Like, we have really made a decision. It's clear. You can come on board or just be out. Either is fine. So that is an amazing thing that any couple, and more those in disability, need to do. Those with some form of disability need to do. The second thing is for that couple to determine what roles to play. And again, I'll pick what Purity and the husband did. Because if you play the role of a caretaker, like taking care of your spouse because they have a disability, and that of being a spouse, that can be definitely super overwhelming. Because you will be so tired, overwhelmed, just about that and other businesses. That would be so much more. And if there are children involved, it's even so much more, because you're the active, more active parent. Let me use that, although it's not always true, but I'm using this in this context. Because if a spouse is not able to be independent because they have a disability in some way or in more ways, then it means even their parenting is highly challenged. So the spouse involved will be very overwhelmed. So it is to decide to what extent am I going to give you care. But if they are going to be fully involved, then they will crumble very fast when the society attacks them because they are already too tired. The burden is too much. So the second way of protecting yourself against the pressures, the external pressures, is to determine that I am going to give you care to this level, but the rest become independent as a spouse.
Which is what Eric and Purity do.
Yes. That's why I said it's amazing. Their setup is amazing.
Yeah.
But if you decide, I am going to be with you every single step you take, then you forget yourself. And the external pressure, when they begin to say, oh, I pity you, it must be very hard, they will be saying truth. And so you'll be so affected. You'll even be feeling sorry for yourself for being in that setup. But if you decide, I am going to give you care to this level because I can encourage you and I can support you to care for yourself this other level, then that's a healthy setup, even in disability, even without disability, either one. So learn to create a proper boundary between what you can do and what they can do. What they can do, let them do. What they can do, let them learn to do more. And so that you're not overwhelmed. Then you can give the spousal the part of being a spouse, and that becomes now easier. And you're able to tell society, no, I am not frustrated, because you're not, really. So that's the second way. The third one is to have a support system. Some people will get support from their families, but others will not. But while we cannot change our families to be what we want them to be entirely, we can choose what we can do with ourselves. So if you have support that is family, well and good, but still an extra support is very important, like the community that understands you, people who understand your struggles, people who can identify with you, people who are not going to judge you or discriminate against you. So having support is very useful. And the people living with disability, whether individuals or in a couple setup, need to understand that support needs to be your #1 priority. Without it, you will crumble. There are times that even the couple is troubled, like any other couple. So unless the support is firm and stable, the society, living in a society that doesn't understand, that discriminates and judges what we don't understand, because we're in a society that doesn't understand what they don't know. We judge instead of being empathetic. So having this extra support is the best thing that they can do for themselves.
And it is so crucial, especially when it comes to conflict management, because like any other couple, these couples we're talking to today go through the phases and the cycles of life like any other couple. When we come back from this short break, I'd like to hear from them. But before we take that break, here is what you're telling us, even as we understand if you've ever experienced being in a relationship with a person living with a disability. Eric Juma says, I'm impressed not by what the young couple says, but I paid keen attention to how they say it. It was a great, inspiring show. Nyara Anyango says, stories we love to read and hear. Thank you for watching. Dominic says, the best marriage for good and for worst, it's in health and in sickness. Ukweli, Dominic. And another from Meshach who says, I salute you, our heroine. In this world, there are two kinds of people, good people and bad people. Mungu ambariki huyo dada. I think they're talking about purity. Ivy says, wow, nice one. She's a Proverbs 31 wife the Bible talks about. God bless them. Purity. There you go. And another Zeddy Samila who says, true love is there. It's only that most people search in the wrong places. And I think that has been made very clear in today's conversation. Thank you for watching. Lucas Maura says, true love detected here. I didn't know true love still exists in this 21st century. Better believe it, Lucas. And we are glad that you are watching. Time for another short break. We'll be back.
Epuka giza sasa na mshumaa wa Sumo. Mshumaa wa Sumo umetengenezwa kwa bidhaa bora zaidi na unakufaa wakati wote. Kila mara unapowaza kuhusu mwangaza katika nyumba yako, waza mshumaa wa Sumo. Unachomeka polepole bila kumwagika na hauishi haraka, hauna moshi wala harufu. Jipatie mshumaa wa Sumo katika duka lililo karibu nawe kwa bei nafuu. Kwa maelezo zaidi, tembelea afisi zetu katika barabara ya Ndume Road, mkabala na Lungalunga Road, nyuma ya Carton Manufacturer, karibu na steji ya matatu ya Sinai. Unaweza pia wasiliana nasi kupitia 0722575619 au 0736028181. Ni mshumaa wa Sumo Kando kutoka Rock Industries Limited.
Oh my, oh my, oh my days. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful. Life is wonderful.
To achieve great things in life, you must do little things every day, like the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate.
1, wake up, wake up. 2, brush up, brush up. 3, smile through your day with a fresh breath and strong tea. Smile through your day with a fresh breath and strong tea.
Do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate and give yourself a future to smile about.
Do you want a good life? Declare Psalm 23 verse 6. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It shall be so, and it cannot be otherwise.
To get goodness and love by Vuma, dial *811*923#. Skiza Non-Nation.
Finding meaningful stories takes more drive and passion.
Fathers' involvement in maternal and reproductive health is slowly becoming a game changer.
Getting to the truth takes more determination.
Hakuna mke umeshikwa.
Hakuna. Nilikuwa kilio changu ni watoto wanapata shida chakula. Lakini nimeona Kenya yetu watu wamenishika mkono.
Finding real solutions takes more understanding.
Shortage of teachers, lack of textbooks.
Afadhali mtoto awe chini ya miti badala ya awe na chupa ya glue kwa mapua.
And NTV investigates leads to impact.
This building here has got its fair share of criminals.
Who are these COVID
billionaires. Corruption related to PPE, it's actually a murder.
So these are patients with cerebral palsy.
From what I saw being aired in NTV, it really broke my heart.
NTV, stories that impact you.
Thank you for staying with us. My name is Gladys Gachanja. This is your world, or our conversation, marriage and dating amongst persons with disability. And there are so many questions. Some of you have literally DM'd me because you want to understand better about these two things: conflict resolution and intimacy amongst persons with disability. Interesting perspective because it affects all of us. Now let's hear from John and Suzanne. I'll start off with you, John. When it comes to conflict management within the relationship, how do you handle it?
Yes, it's very interesting, because this one now is affecting the whole family in the world. When coming a conflict, there's a misunderstanding between the two parties. So me and my wife here, we can disagree. But what helps us most, we communicate all the time. Whenever something comes, you can't just go and attack. No, we sit down and then we share ideas, we discuss the problem, what is the problem, ABCD, even if it's worse. So this one has helped us a lot, because without discussion, because I trust her, first of all, I trust her, I have a lot of faith in her, because there's no anyone can come from her without proper source. So, and even if there's a source, we have to come down and sit and discuss this thing. What is it and how is it coming about? This thing has been helped us a lot, even with our children. So we don't quarrel, when there's something comes, we have to sit down and discuss it to find a solution. And this is a very, very important to the family, especially disabled. You see, because if you start antagonism among yourself, maybe she can feel like, John, why are you doing this? Are you doing this because I'm disabled? See this? So you must be very, very careful when dealing with the disabled. There are some areas which you can't just go without consulting or discussing with her. So we normally sit down and talk. And I respect her the way she is, because we have never had a serious quarrel. In fact, we normally discuss the issues which are affecting our family, especially with the children we have. You see, if somebody try to see how we can help them, we can bring them up. And if somebody has a contrary opinion, we sit down and we share it and we come to the solution.
Let's hear from Susan. Do you think to a large extent you and John have this smooth transition and perspective to life because you are mature in age?
I think it is our perspectives. Like I'm also I'm very outspoken, and I think one thing, even before we got married, we had to talk out, and I told him I value my opinion, and even if we are not in agreement, there's no problem, but I like to express it. It has to be expressed. I think one also very good thing, something good that happened to us is we had about 6 months of premarital counseling, because there were issues, of course, with our different families and ages. There were issues that were going to come up, and we got to talk about it even during that time. And I said, because I know if you keep me not saying what I want to say, it would hurt me more. So I told him, there are times, yes, you can disagree. We don't have to agree. Even if he has a different opinion, even if I have a different opinion, I'd rather say it than keep it. And he's also very outspoken. He doesn't keep things. So we talk.
Okay, a very well communicated couple. And before I hear from Eric and Purity, David, John, sorry, there's a question to you. The issue of intimacy, is it something that you also had to talk about during that premarital counseling?
Yes. Yes, we have to talk. We discussed about it premarital, and we have agreed very well, very clearly, everything black and white, so that everybody is aware what we want to do and what we do. So intimacy is just like any other wife, okay? There are few challenges, but then all the same, you have to adapt. The adaptability is there.
Yes.
We have to, and you know how to go about it and what to do. Okay. So you find the life is just normal. It's just normal.
And it works.
And it works. So
And you-
with that one, don't have any issue at all.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. Well, I think that answers the question that most people have, but I'll pose the same question to you, Eric and Purity. I'll start off with you, Purity. How do you deal with conflict resolution in your marriage?
For us, what works is for each of us to respect the view of the other person on different matters. Because I think we really come from very different background. Of course, in the beginning of the marriage, like when we moved from our parents and started living together, Eric was this person who loved fun and he wants to stay out in the party until to be the last person to leave. And I want to get home early. And we would argue all day about that. But the more we've stayed together, the more we've understood where each person is coming from and what each person needs to be supported with. So nowadays, we don't finish 5 minutes arguing about anything because we learned to listen to each other, to hear where are you coming from? What is hurting you? So for us, what works is to really be in the other person's shoes and then not to be, it's about me, it's about me. The first 3 years were really, really terrible. But slowly we've learned to listen to each other and to consider if he understands I don't want to be on the road at night, why and what can he do to support me with that? So at the moment we have easy, but it's not been smooth getting here. It has taken 8 years. This is our 8th year in marriage. And it has worked. But also when things were thick, we would involve our close friends and our family. Our family really would come and listen, give us the space to talk to each other.
Okay, all right. And for you, Eric, how do you maneuver the intimacy department?
Interesting. Just to say that intimacy is actually a process, and just like any other people go about it, you really have to work around it. Yeah. For example, you have to talk to each other, send SMS, go for a date. And you know, as I'm saying, Gladys, I mean, it's a process. And then for us, I don't know what to add, but it happens normally.
Yeah.
But the most important thing, as Purity has said, is to really understand what other person's needs are. When it can work, when it's not working, yeah, and as such, yeah.
Okay, and it's interesting. Somebody is actually asking, how is it that Eric is able to maneuver a smartphone?
Thank you for that. Gladys, I would like to say it's not Eric only. Many other persons are using this technology now. We thank God for the technology and the opportunity of assistive devices. However, we also understand that many Kenyans are not able to access these technologies. I'm able to use a smartphone because it's accessible. It has what we call speech, voice enabled, such that it's able to convert text to speech. And many phones have these features, but of course some people, because they don't need them, so they don't use it. But then again, also to find a device that is quite accessible, again, it can also be costly.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that.
All right. So for you as a couple, have you ever pursued premarital counseling or even couple therapy?
Yes. Being Catholics, there is a whole lot of curriculum that has to happen before the church officiates. And our priests did good work in taking us through that. Other than that, I think our parents and our aunts have been there for us. So we haven't gotten to the place of seeking therapy yet.
All
But
right.
we had long months of premarital counseling.
Okay, we hear you. Thank you. And over to Elvis. Is it something that you pursued, you and your wife, counseling for your marriage?
No, we didn't do any counseling. Both of us, we just sat down, we agreed, and both families were aware that we wanted to get married, and that's what we did. But the challenge is when we have some quarrels, we try to control ourselves. My wife talks a lot, and I listen, and then I try to encourage one another, but we don't fight. It is important for you to talk, because I have done VCT counseling and psychological counseling. So I have learned how to control myself. Now, me with my wife, we are able to mingle well. So we listen to one another. If one wrongs the other person, we are able to forgive one another, and we continue. And we live our family as good people. For example, if you promise that you are trying to come at this time from a party, so we try to inform one another where one person is. So we respect one another, and that is how we live a happy life. Yeah, we have some differences once, but things are working well.
Is insecurity a reality in your marriage? Because, I mean, you're human, just like the next couple. Is it something that you deal with, and how do you resolve it?
No, it's okay. You know, sometimes when I am angry or when I quarrel something from outside, bringing it home have been a problem. But what we do, we just try to sort our problems and try to understand one another. Yeah, we try to learn from our mistakes. We have challenges, communications at night, you see. Because, you know, we don't call. So we only send SMSs. So the challenge which we have is, if, for example, you try to communicate and then the other side is not communicating, you know. So what we do, for our security, we try to keep on communicating anytime. So we make sure that, for example, if I go somewhere, Before I come back, I have to SMS that I'm on the way, so that easy of opening and accessing the houses or the gate. That is how we do.
Aha, all right, we hear you. And Joanne, conflict resolution and definitely intimacy in such a setting is so critical. Talk about that.
The way they resolve issues is very, very key. And in the case where someone says, you're doing this because I am disabled, it means this person sees themselves, defines themselves by their disability, which means this person is lacking in self-acceptance. And if this person would look at themselves as a human being, then they will know this conflict is not only in their marriage or because it's a disability, but it is literally what happens with every other couple. And so if they look at themselves as two people in a marriage first before the disability, then they do not associate this conflict with disability, because it is not, unless it's a direct attack. If it's not a direct attack, it's something that is happening, then they need to focus on the subject and not on the disability. Because that needs to be secondary. I married you and not the disability. So if I am resolving an issue, I am resolving with you and not the secondary part. Yes. So, but again, I know this is not very easy, because when we're dealing with a situation, unless we heal from this pain, we see things through the eyes of pain. So the most important thing that the person, especially who has a disability, needs to do is to work through, so that at no point are they labeling themselves with, I am disabled. So that they can see themselves. I like what is she called Kate?
Yeah,
what she
Purity.
said. Not Purity, the other one was...
Suzanne.
No, the one who was just alone. That girl was...
Yes,
moving with
yes,
the wheels.
Catherine, yes.
Catherine. So she was very confident with the person she is.
Yeah.
And you have to see her. If you don't see her, then you are the one who has a problem. I know that's a process than an event, but every person dealing with whatever sort of disability needs to get to that space where they see themselves as a person first, as who they are in their best attributes. And then when you're dealing with a spouse, deal with it from that point. Because if you tag in the label of disability, it makes intimacy very difficult. And in intimacy, I'm not talking about sex, although it's part of it. I am talking about the holistic process of having a sense of belonging, feeling loved and cared for, and enjoying the tenderness that comes with marriage. So if the conflicts are not well resolved, or if I throw it back to you that you're not loving me well, or you're fighting me back because I am disabled, then you're bringing in an aspect of lack of sense of belonging for the one who is not dealing with a disability. But also for the person dealing with disability, I must admit it's not an easy process. So being able to take a personal journey to heal from the disability, because if you can't change, then you have to make peace with it. So that you're well and looking at yourself as a person. And when your spouse is having a conflict with you, you're able to reason from a human point, agree or disagree. I like John's, how they look at it. We can agree or disagree, and it's okay. It doesn't change who each one of us is. We just are addressing this issue. So if conflicts are well resolved, then it is easier for them to enjoy intimacy just like any other couple. On the part of intimacy, then they have to look at what works for them. All of us in marriage learn. We have to go through a process of learning how to enjoy our own intimacy, because we are unique from any other couple. So just like those ones, these ones also need to bring their own part of learning. So long as conflicts are resolved well and there are no issues that are pending, and because also the people who do not have a disability have a tendency of feeling, I don't want to touch that nerve because you're going to throw the disability line. And then they keep issues, and then they are building resentment and bitterness towards the spouse, and the spouse is not getting it. So either party needs to really work harder so that they can be able to enjoy good conflicts, enjoy communication. And one more thing, Gladys, they need to learn the mental skills. Because unless they are mentally challenged, that means it's a mental illness, And even in mental illnesses, so that I am not told I'm stigmatizing. I know when it's well managed, they still can reason and think through things comfortably. But unless with an unmanaged mental illness, anyone needs to be able to learn mental skills. How do you resolve conflicts? How do you make decisions? Because if the disability is physical, it doesn't affect the mental faculties. So these skills need to be learned. Like they need to spend time and invest in them, whether they will learn on the internet or do seminars or whatever they do. They need to invest in them heavily so that while there's a physical challenge, then there's no mental challenge, and they can be able to deal with these skills. They can communicate like a normal functional couple, and they can be able to make decisions, resolve and talk through intimacy and enjoy intimacy. Because like any other couple, they owe themselves that.
Okay. Now I understand we have a phone call. Kamoyo from Banana, what's your question? Go ahead, Kamoyo, what is your question?
I like your show today.
Thank
My question is to the therapist.
Okay.
If you find a partner who's like you, what are the first expressions to know that the dating love you genuine?
Okay, if CK, if you can repeat that to me, I couldn't hear you properly. Okay, could you repeat that again, Kamoyo?
If you found a lady who says you love you very much,
Uh-huh.
how are you able to know it genuine?
Okay, I hear you, Karogo. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. And Karogo Wamoyo actually Kamoyo lives with cerebral palsy. So he understands the importance of this kind of a show. And his question is, when you meet a girl who says they love you, how do you know they are genuine, especially if you are the one living with a disability?
That is a normal procedure, like for a person who is not living with disability, because they are testers. I mean, they are tests of time. I'm trying to put it in the simplest way possible.
Yes.
You have to look at their consistency and look through communication. Do they understand what you're dealing with? Are they ready to fit in? Look at their background. What do they stand for? Do they understand what they are going to get into, and are they ready for that? Just like a normal human being. There are those things that you have to go through. And I would say there are very many avenues to learn that, because I know I don't have time to break it down here. But there are all the pointers to a person who is really in love with you and who is determined to take it to the end. And just like the red flags happen for normal couples, they are the same red flags for the people living with disability. So it cuts across. This one cuts across, whether it's for someone with no disability or someone without a disability. And I'm sorry for using the word normal. I'm trying to just differentiate, not that they are abnormal in any way. So, so just understand, if there are no red flags, then that could be genuine. Because again, it could be out of self-stigma that you feel, am I deserving of their love? And they could love you genuinely. So just like any other couple, look through the green lights. If they are ticked, then you're good to go. If the red flags are there, then it's something that may not be worth pursuing.
Okay, now that is Joan Kirera, family and marriage therapist. Even as she walked us this conversation on marriage and dating for persons with disability, a big thank you to Eric Gondi and Purity Mokami. And Eric is visually impaired. John and Susanna Mori joining us from Kakamega. Susanna is the one who is physically impaired. Elvis Odhiambo, who is with us in the other studio, he has a hearing impairment. And of course, David Agondoa, who has been our sign language interpreter this morning. Thank you all for being so candid and letting us into your world. Now, at this point, we had asked you a question earlier on in as far as your own experiences dating those with a disability, and we have some of that before we can call it a day. We have Dana who says, yes, she was born with a congenital hand deformity, did not affect our relationship at all. When we met, she was shy and could not leave the house without her scarf covering her hand. Nowadays, she's confident enough to even wear a short sleeve in public. Well done, Dana. Or Dread Orange says, persons with disability really face hard times. People call you names, others laugh at you, while others insult you. They see us like we are not human beings. I'm a victim. Paul Lesana for that, and that should not be the case. Jane says, it's easy to get a woman who stands with a man during sickness, but getting men standing with the women is very hard. So kudos to John, who has stood with Suzanne. Edwig says, Suzanne Nyamori is a great teacher and mother to many. I love her words back in college. Okay, thank you for writing in, and kudos to you, Suzanne. Balero Toby says, what a great inspiration. True love grows with time, patience, and loyalty. May all other ladies out there emulate her footsteps, and gentlemen too should do the same while seeking true female lovers. Many more years of wonderful and peaceful engagement. Yes, we wish everyone all the best in their marriage walk. And Wilson here says, she's the kind of lady for keeps. She knows that losing your eyesight is not equal to losing your focus in life. We have many men with eyes, but they cannot see. Coming from a guy, that is actually really deep. Kudos to you, Purity. Peter Basharia says, Eric was my roommate in college who has a very clean heart. He's God-fearing, he's sharp, a first-class honors graduate from JKU Art. Sio ile ya kubahatisha, and make matters better, he's a super black belt holder in karate. The wife is exceptional. Hey, Eric, the things you did not divulge. We celebrate you. Doris says, I got late for work listening to those wonderful people. I'm really blessed and motivated by them all. Patience is a key I see here. Thank you, Doris, for your time and really giving us the feedback. And we wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us on Your World. Now, tomorrow we take time to appreciate being awesomely different. Why? Because we all are uniquely different, and so are our circumstances. The thing is, at times the feeling of being out of place can overwhelm us, especially when we feel like our crosses are too far or too much to bear. That's why we'll be having this conversation tomorrow. Let's catch up then.
Thank you.